You want long and scary? Fine. Here is something that crawls instead of sprinting, and it does not ask permission. The Last House That Learned Your Name. The house on Grayling Road was not abandoned. It wanted people to think it was. From the outside, it leaned slightly left, as if listening. The paint had blistered into pale, peeling scales. Every window was intact, but dark, the glass fogged from the inside, like breath held too long. No boards, no warning signs, no vandalism, just quiet. Careful quiet. People passed it every day and felt the urge to cross the street without knowing why. Dogs refused to walk near it. Phones lost signal in front of it, then mysteriously regained it once you passed. The city marked it as vacant after the Calhoun family disappeared inside it 14 years ago, but no one ever put it up for sale. You cannot sell something that is still occupied. Evan moved in on a Tuesday. He told himself he liked the quiet. After the divorce, the silence felt earned. The realtor had been eager in a way that made him uneasy, rushing through paperwork, never stepping past the threshold. She kept her hands clasped behind her back while Evan toured alone. "Previous owners?" Evan asked. She smiled too quickly. "Long term?" That was the last question she answered. The first night, Evan slept poorly. Not because of sounds, because of the lack of them. No pipes knocking, no wind in the walls, no hum of distant traffic. It was as if the house swallowed noise the moment it entered. His own breathing felt intrusive. When he rolled over, the mattress creaked once and then stopped, cut short, as though the sound had been bitten off. At 3:07 a.m., he woke with the certainty that someone was standing in the doorway. There was no one there. The door was closed. He did not remember closing it. The house learned small things first. Which stair creaked under Evan's weight, which floorboard he avoided instinctively, the exact amount of pressure needed to make the bathroom light flicker without going out completely. On the fourth day, Evan noticed the smell. Not rot, not mold. Warm dust, old fabric, something faintly sweet underneath, like breath through cotton. It followed him room to room, never ahead of him, never behind, always present, as if the air itself had decided to keep him company. The basement door was locked. Evan did not remember locking it. The key was not on the ring the realtor gave him. It sat alone in the kitchen drawer, placed neatly beside the silverware, its metal warm when he picked it up. He stood at the top of the basement stairs for a long time before opening the door. The darkness below was not normal darkness. It had depth, weight. It felt like looking into a throat. When he flicked the light switch, the bulb came on instantly, too instantly. The basement was empty. Concrete floor, stone walls, no boxes, no cobwebs, no furnace, no water heater. No reason to exist. Evan laughed, the sound brittle, and turned to leave. Behind him, the light turned off. That night, the house spoke. Not aloud, not in words. It spoke in recognition. Evan woke to the feeling of being known, not watched, not followed, catalogued. He lay frozen as memories surfaced that were not his, a little girl counting cracks in the ceiling, a man pressing his ear to the wall, whispering apologies, a woman screaming until her voice collapsed into something wet and animal. These were not dreams. Dreams fade. These stayed.
When Evan finally sat up, he found a single fingerprint pressed into the dust on his nightstand. It was not his. It was very small. He tried to leave the next morning. The front door opened easily. The street outside was wrong. Grayling Road stretched too long in both directions, the houses repeating at odd intervals, like a poorly remembered photograph. The sky above was colorless, a flat, depthless white. Evan stepped onto the porch. The door behind him closed. The lock slid into place with the sound like a satisfied breath. When he turned back, the house was closer than it should have been. The porch shortened, the street receded. The house was not moving, the world was rearranging itself around it. Evan screamed. The sound did not travel. Time lost meaning. The house fed him just enough to keep him functional. Cabinets refilled overnight. Water ran cold and clean. Power never failed. Sleep became dangerous. Each time Evan slept, he woke with more memories that were not his and fewer that were. His childhood home blurred, his ex-wife's face softened, then hollowed, then vanished entirely. The house began using his name, not spoken, written. Notes appeared on walls in pencil he did not own. Evan, you left the light on. Evan, come downstairs. Evan, we missed you. He tried to destroying them. The words returned, pressed deeper into the plaster, carved into the wood beneath. In the basement, the floor had changed. Hairline cracks spread outward from the center, like veins. When Evan knelt, he heard something beneath the concrete. Breathing, slow, massive, patient. The memories intensified. He saw the Calhouns clearly now, the father barricading doors that did not stay closed, the mother trying to convince the house it was loved, the children learning too late that it preferred them afraid. They had not been killed, they had been absorbed. The house did not want bodies, it wanted continuity. Evan stopped fighting. That's when the house became kind. The smell grew comforting, the silence softened, the notes stopped appearing. In the mirror, Evan noticed his reflection lagging slightly behind his movements, like it was deciding to follow. When he smiled, it took a moment before the reflection did. Sometimes it didn't at all. One evening, Evan heard knocking at the door. Real knocking, 3 sharp raps. Hope is a dangerous thing in a house like that. He opened the door to find a couple standing on the porch, young, nervous, excited in a brittle way when people believe they are starting over. "We're here for the listing," the woman said. The realtor said. Evan felt the house tighten around him. He tried to warn them. What came out of his mouth was, "It's a quiet place." The house warmed. They moved in the next day. Evan watched from the upstairs window as the couple carried boxes inside, laughing. The house adjusted itself around them, learning their footsteps, their rhythms, their fears. Evan felt something loosen in his chest, relief. He went to the basement that night. The cracks had sealed. The breathing was quieter now, satisfied. The house let Evan leave the following morning. The street was normal again, the sky blue, the air thin and sharp. Evan walked away without looking back. He did not notice that his shadow stayed behind for a moment longer than it should have. Years later, people would say the house on Grayling Road was cursed, that it trapped souls, that it was evil. They were wrong. The house was lonely, and it had learned, very carefully, how to make people stay. And somewhere inside its walls, written in places no one could see, it still practiced Evan's name, waiting.
Fine. You want very long and very scary. Settle in and don't complain later when your brain won't shut up at 3 a.m. The Quiet House on Alder Street. Everyone on Alder Street agreed on one thing. The house at the end was empty. It had been empty for as long as anyone could remember. No cars, no lights, no mail, no footsteps crunching up the weed-choked driveway. The windows stayed dark even during storms, even during blackouts when the rest of the street glowed with candles and phone flashlights. It just sat there, leaning slightly forward, like it was listening. People moved in and out of Alder Street all the time. Renters came, renters left, couples split, kids grew up, dogs died. The house stayed. If someone asked about it, the answers got vague fast. Old owners moved away. Some kind of legal thing. Probably condemned. Nobody ever said they'd been inside. Until Daniel moved in next door. Daniel was practical to the point of being annoying about it. He believed in explanations, faulty wiring, drafts, squatters, mold-induced hallucinations, the kind of guy who'd walk into a haunted house with a clipboard and ruin the vibe. He noticed the sounds first. At night, usually just after midnight, he'd hear something from the direction of the empty house. Not footsteps, not voices, something softer. Breathing. Slow, careful, like whoever was doing it was trying not to be heard. The first time, Daniel told himself it was the wind slipping through broken boards. The second time, he told himself it was his own breathing echoing in his head. By the fifth night, he was standing at his bedroom window, staring at the silhouette of the house while his heart thudded like it was trying to leave. The sound wasn't constant. It came in cycles. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Too measured for wind, too patient. Sometimes, just before it stopped, he'd hear a faint knock. Not on his door, on the inside of the empty house. Daniel asked the neighbors. The woman across the street tightened her grip on her coffee mug when he brought it up. "You hear it too?" he asked. She stared at him for a long moment before shaking her head too quickly. "No, and you shouldn't listen for things like that." The man 2 houses down laughed, but it sounded wrong, like he was forcing air past something stuck in his throat. "That place?" he said. "Just don't go near it. It doesn't like being noticed." He waited for the punchline. It never came. One night, the breathing changed. It wasn't coming from the house anymore. It was behind Daniel. He woke frozen, staring at the dark ceiling, the sound thick and wet in the room with him. The air smelled wrong, old, like dust and something sweet underneath, something rotten trying to hide. He didn't turn around. He couldn't. The breathing leaned closer to his ear, slow and deliberate, like it was savoring the moment. A finger pressed gently into the mattress beside his head. The bed dipped. Then a whisper, so soft it barely disturbed the air. "Wrong house." The weight lifted. The smell faded. The room went still. Daniel lay there until morning, eyes burning, heart hammering, convincing himself it was sleep paralysis, stress, his brain playing tricks. At dawn, he found muddy footprints leading from his bedroom window to the fence separating his yard from the empty house. They faced away from his home. He called the city about the house. They told him it didn't exist. Not abandoned, not condemned, not under dispute. Didn't exist. There were no records, no ownership history, no permits. On paper, the street ended 1 lot earlier. When Daniel pointed out that he could see the house from his window, the woman on the phone went quiet. Then she asked to hold. The line disconnected. After that, the knocking started.
3 knocks, always 3. Sometimes on his front door, sometimes on the walls, once from inside his closet. He never answered. One night, the knocking came from inside his chest. He woke gasping, clutching at his ribs as the sensation faded, leaving behind a deep, aching cold. On his bathroom mirror, written in fogged breath, were 3 words: "You are close." Daniel finally went into the house. He told himself he needed proof, closure, something concrete. Really, he just couldn't stand knowing anymore. The front door was unlocked. It opened silently. Inside, the air was warm, too warm, like the house had been holding on to heat for years. The walls were bare, but not clean. Long scratches ran from floor to ceiling, as if someone had dragged their hands upward over and over again, trying to climb out. The floorboards creaked under his weight. Somewhere deeper in the house, something shifted in response. He moved room to room, empty, 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 until the bedroom. The bed was unmade, freshly. The sheets were still warm. Daniel backed away slowly. That's when he noticed the photographs taped to the walls. They were all of him, sleeping, watching TV, standing at his window at night, sitting in his car, brushing his teeth. Some were dated. The earliest was 10 years ago. He hadn't lived here 10 years ago. A final photo hung above the bed. It showed Daniel lying in the same bed, eyes open, staring directly at the camera. On the back, written in shaky ink, "This one stays." The breathing came from behind him. He turned. The thing wearing his face smiled too wide, skin stretched tight, eyes like someone had learned to be human from watching through a crack in the wall. "You finally noticed," it said in Daniel's voice. The house exhaled. The door slammed shut. The neighbors noticed something new after that. The empty house had a light on at night, and the man living next door started acting strange, standing too still, smiling too long, sometimes knocking on doors 3 times, asking if anyone had heard the breathing. If you listened closely, when his house went quiet, you could hear it. Inhale, pause, exhale. From 2 houses now. The house on Alder Street was no longer empty, and it was still hungry.